All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the March 17th EDA annual minutes. Any changes or updates?
I'll make a motion to approve the March 17th minutes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item number 4, Sherburne County Housing Resource Update. Dan?
We hired a new housing coordinator a few months ago, so I thought it'd be a good time to come give us an update of what she's been working on these last couple months. And I'll turn it over to you, Laura.
Thanks, Dan. Hi guys, how are you? So I did a little bit of a presentation. Oh, thank you. I don't know how to work this thing. Probably go over. So yeah, it's been about, 6 months. September, I was hired. So it's just an example of me helping somebody. We actually got that picture taken, so that's gonna be in the newspaper, which is going to be great to get some attention kind of on what I do and how I can help people in Sherburne County. So I'm Lori. I'm the Housing Resource Specialist. So some of the things that I'll briefly just touch on my role, some of the barriers that I've seen people are experiencing, and I have had some successes, so I'd like to share those with you as well. Yeah, some of my role here at Sherburne County is just providing resources to people who, there has been a pretty high need of people reaching out that are experiencing housing instability. There's landlord engagement, just trying to, kind of communicate with landlords, trying to get screening criteria, to link people up to places that they can apply for to get into housing or housing that they can afford. And then just providing that technical assistance to health and human services staff. So just brainstorming ideas and resources in the area for the various basic needs and stuff too. So I've been busy and it's been good though, because it's definitely something that's needed. But some of the committees that I'm on is the Family Homeless Prevention and Assistance Program. So on one of the next slides, I have some of the numbers that they have in so they do Stearns, Benton, Sherburne, and Wright, the 4 counties. But being on that advisory committee is really good to see kind of what numbers they're receiving for calls as well, and what numbers Sherburne County is receiving and if they're going up or down, and then just kind of comparing them to how many calls I'm getting too. And sometimes I am sending people to this program for assistance to get into housing or assistance with ongoing programs to support them. So I'm on the mental health action team, which is fairly new. And I chair the PIC count. So annually we have a count for counting people who are experiencing homelessness. So now I chair the regional. So I'm really hoping we can get our numbers up so that we can show that there is a high need in Sherburne County, and get like more of an actual count, because it's harder to count people who are, doubled up versus people who are, you can see, are homeless on the street. So I'm on a couple different continuum of care. So that's like the different homeless management information system, just kind of different housing opportunities that are available, new developments that are accepting new, where can I direct people to get into housing. And then I'm also a part of the Community Connect that they have in Sherburne County, just kind of a resource fair to get everybody in the area connected to resources. So I've been doing that for about, I think it's my 5th or 6th year, so that's cool to continue to, connect people to the resources that they need. And so this is just some of the numbers from the first 6 months. I have helped over 100 households. I did successfully house 10 of them, which I feel really good. Like, I felt good because sometimes housing is a process to get people into housing and the full journey. So it is good when it does work out for them and they do get stably housed. So just kind of the percentages of what I'm seeing. So 22% are homeless. And then the imminent risk of homelessness, that would be like if they received an eviction notice and they have to be out, which is going up because the moratorium ended, so they can evict people on late rent. So I'm seeing that going up because they can now evict landlords. And then the doubled up with no lease, so that's the blue, the darker blue. And so that's gonna be like couch surfing or staying at a, friend's house, but, on their couch. And that one is the 19%. And I do feel that one is pretty high because, in our area, there's less people usually like out in camps or where you can see them. Like in St. Cloud, sometimes you can see that, but a lot of our population, I think, is that unseen, doubled up in somebody else's house.
Do you track where your calls are coming from, just
I-
around the county?
Do we in SSIS?
We ask them where
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
living. So we have a general idea of where they're staying at any given moment, but
Right.
that can change from day to day, even with folks that aren't leased up somewhere. But we do have an idea of where those calls are coming from. One thing of note that I had pulled out of the initial data from the first 6 months, so as we saw, it was about 24% were folks that are BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, or people of color. So we see a higher percentage of those folks that are experiencing housing instability versus, when compared to our general demographics. But yeah, we
You
have.
want to introduce yourself too?
No. My supervisor.
So I'm Tony Masters. I'm the social service manager for the Adult and Disability Services Division. Lori's position is partially grant funded, and I'm the project manager for that grant. And I meet with Lori on a weekly basis to go over the work that she's done, the cases that she's seen coming in. One thing I just want to point out with some of the data here too is the folks that Lori is recognizing as successfully housed are those that she's providing that hands-on direct assistance to. So there's a lot more people that she's providing more resource and information and technical assistance, but these are folks that she's meeting with, doing a housing plan, helping them to call landlords, complete applications in the event of denial, to help through an appeal process in some of the subsidized housing programs as well.
So there might be more that I've helped that I don't know, and just, following up due to, time constraints, I would like to follow up with everybody and see how they're doing and if they're housed, but these are ones I know for sure have been housed successfully. And so some of leaving an unsafe environment, leaving an institution, so incarceration or a hospital or treatment facility. Rent burden is the green, and that's going to be if they were paying 30% or more of their income to rent. And so that's not a lot, but I feel like some of those could fall into that category.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, and the other is they were stably housed. Maybe a lot of I'm running into a lot of people who are stably housed, but they need more room, or they're having an additional child and there's not enough space, or they can't afford the place they're in, or a dynamic in the family changes. So there's it's stably housed, but not stably housed, or it's circumstantial.
One thing I was seeing with this data too, with unsafe living environments, some of that is the environment itself, meaning there's maybe mold, there's maybe other unsafe conditions, accessibility issues, but also domestic violence issues where it's just not safe for that person to be in that household and they're displaced.
Are there any other homeless shelters around Sherburne County in
No.
Princeton or Zimmerman or
St. Cloud's got
St. Cloud and Anoka.
Anoka?
So we are working on a housing resource packet. It's almost finalized, where we actually show all the close by, and it's not close, but shelters in the amount of miles from the government center. So I think that Anoka was the closest one, and then St. Cloud and Minneapolis. So I kind of break them down, and then I break down the domestic violence ones, youth ones, just so that they have an idea of how far they are from here. But yeah, we do not have one in Sherburne County. They had Rivers of Hope, but they stopped during COVID. So that was more of like a church of the week. So Place of Hope still does that. So there is overflow there, but St. Cloud is going to be the closest for that.
The ones in St. Cloud would be a mile, you know, I mean, they're our border. So when you go from Elk River, yeah, it seems like it's
Right.
a long ways,
Right.
but we have them on
In St. Cloud, yes, then it's
the
not.
county, so, you know, when you start placing them, you need
Are
to
they
think
full?
about that.
Most of the time they are full, but Place of Hope has overflow. So, it's more of a like church of the week that they have the overflow for.
St. Cloud's actually talking about expanding their facility.
Are you guys involved in that, but Sherburne County has to participate in?
Which one are you talking
The one in
about?
St. Cloud.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of them, and there's one that was just in the newspaper with the public hearing and that was tabled, so that's kind of a hot issue, and going to be, and our involvement there would only be through social services.
Lori, speak to what the work you've done with the other housing folks in the four-county area, the coordination and the meetings that you've.
Oh, yeah, and I'm aware of what, I am in the provider, we meet, I think, weekly, talking about the different openings and stuff, but also, yes, I think they're trying to expand it. It's Homeless Helping Homeless, and I've heard that it was tabled. I just wasn't sure what the next process would be on that one. But yeah, I collaborate with Stearns County Housing Resource Specialist, all of the Catholic Charities, Lutheran Social Services, pretty much anybody who has a hand in helping people experiencing homelessness. They probably know who I am, and we've
And
collaborated.
specifically with the outreach folks in Wright County, Benton County, Stearns County, and then some of the nonprofits that are doing that work as well. You're doing meetings every other week with them to try to collaborate. And, it's particularly prominent up in that St. Cloud area. It's all shared, so we have to work together.
And if I can just add, I think that's really important that we're working together. We have that metro area, and part of it is Sherburne County, so we have some responsibility there. And I think we work really well with our partners. I mean, we have the inebriate housing there. There are some apartments that are gonna be going in that will be, really addressing what you're trying to do. So, I think as far as county borders, we should be thinking about that, but we should be thinking about how we collaboratively solve the problem.
Does Benton and Wright have a similar position as
Benton, yes, has, Bright has a more of a mental health and not specifically for housing. But she is also on that provider call as well, so, but yeah. So, going to, oops, does it go? Oh, maybe me, okay. There we go. There we are. So this is just from that Family Homeless Prevention and Assistance Program. So this was the numbers broken down by county. I did see an increase in Sherburne and Wright counties because those are the areas that tend to be lower. Obviously Stearns is bigger too. I mean, they're gonna have more numbers. But they went up from, this is for March 2022, and in February, these numbers, to me, they're people, they're very much families that are in need. So even though they're numbers, it's really interesting for me to see calls go up and down or what the need is in each area. Obviously that's not everybody that, but that's the calls that they received, which is 207 calls total, and about 19 of them, which was about 5 more from last.
What month was this for?
This was for March.
Okay. And this is like a central calling point that people are calling
Yep,
into?
so when we do that call to connect, it'll connect them with, so this is
Okay.
Lutheran Social Services and RISE, who do that they have the funding for the Family Homeless Prevention Program, so, but yeah, so And these were the top 4 causes of the housing crisis. So this is just from those 207 calls, which is, for adults, it was job loss or no income was the #1 reason for the housing instability. And last month, for February, it actually was that the housing was not affordable, and that tends to not change very frequently. So I thought that was really interesting that that now it's considered job loss and no income was the top reason. Domestic violence also remained very high, which from February. And then for youth, it's just doubled up or being asked to leave remained the same reason for both months. So, but I think it's really interesting to see like what reason they are facing that housing instability too. So. Some of the barriers, like access to affordable housing, a lot of the subsidized housing have waiting lists. So getting onto those waiting lists and just the process. So I walk people through, like what I said, the application process. If they have a criminal history, walking them through what an appeal would look like. How would you, getting letters of recommendation, showing your progress, showing how far you've come since, you know, that crime or whatever it was that happened. The credit score, maybe not perfect rental history or having previous evictions on their record, and then financial reasons too, and just connecting them to, you know, getting into a place and applying for emergency assistance and connecting them up how to face those barriers as well. But yeah, those are just some of them. And just talking about like the housing first model, you know, getting into housing first and then surrounding them with those services of employment, mental health, community engagement, family reunification. I mean, housing is very, very important, but it's also these pieces all play a part of the puzzle. So like getting them those services that they need to be successful in sustaining their housing as well.
It's really about having the basic needs met first before they can take that next step. And one of the parts of Lori's role as we're reviewing the folks that she's working with is what referrals are needed to make sure that this person's going to continue to be successfully housed, because it's not just getting somebody housed and saying, you know, we're done washing your hands of it. It's making sure the right supports are in place too. And that can be a combination of professional or natural supports, but just making sure that there is a plan in place for those folks.
And so it's a success story. So I just put a quote in directly from one of the people that I housed, because I thought it was really nice of them to share that with us. So it's just when my fiance and I first came to the government center to look for help, we weren't expecting a whole lot. We figured we'd get a few resources and that's about it. We were wrong. From the moment we met Lori Irwin, we knew she was not your average social worker. You could feel the sincerity and the empathy coming from her. I explained my situation about how I'm having trouble finding housing because of a recent stay in prison. She took everything I said and immediately began working up a plan. She knew exactly what to do, and she never gave up on us. We could have never accomplished our goals without Lori. She helped my family get our very first home, a place to grow and make memories, which I thought was really sweet of them to share. And so he had a criminal history. He had some time in prison that
It's a drug-related offense.
Yep. And it was doing that appeal process, getting those letters of recommendation, and also, you know, surrounding him with, a referral for adult mental health, just making sure that those pieces were in place to help him to sustain the housing, and then helping him, connecting him to emergency assistance to get into the place. He was actually denied. We appealed. He was over income for one of the units, and then we got him into a market rate one. He was over income for the other one. So it was a good, I didn't know if we were gonna have to try other places, but it actually ended up, it's the new one so there's new properties being built. So it's the one by Aldi, that Elk Ridge Lodge that I've housed some people in. So But yeah, that was one. There's another one that I've worked with for a while. He was living in his car for over a year, long-term homeless. And he also got housed in the one-bedroom persons with disabilities unit at Elk Ridge Lodge. So it was really nice to see him go, get into a stable living environment and that period, homelessness. So.
I actually read this email, so I know Lori didn't just write it herself.
Oh, no, I didn't. I would be, yeah, no. It's weird when I read it. But yeah, no, and it makes me feel good too, that I'm helping people and I'm making a positive impact. And I'm also just trying to educate them on how, to be successful in housing and understand the process of getting into, because it can be kind of complex, so.
One of my hopes with having Lori on board as a housing resource specialist is she's going to be developing these relationships with landlords, and through that landlord engagement process, they may come to trust, Lori. If Lori's going to be referring somebody over to me, I know that they're going to be successful long-term and have the supports that they need. So that's an important component of what we're trying to do here. Another thing I just wanted to mention that we just got licensed for the HMIS system, Homeless Management Information System, which allows Lori to do what's called a VI SPDAT. Don't need to know what it stands for, but it's really to get people on this coordinated entry list, which is prioritizes people that are homeless for these different types of housing programs that have units that are dedicated for long-term homeless individuals.
Yes. And I can see if somebody has been assessed, and I can also do the assessment and put them onto the coordinated, or the priority list is what we call it. Yeah, that's, oh. I don't know how to do it. Oh, there's my end. Thank you. Just my contact information and my email. And I do have some business cards if you want.
Do you help connect employers with individuals as well, not just housing, but help them find jobs so they can afford housing? Is that a component at all?
With that housing first, obviously connecting them to CMJTS is here too, so talking about that. Depending on what their needs are, absolutely. So if they don't have employment, we talk about that as kind of initial, basic needs, or connecting them with how to apply for cash assistance or.
Tell us what CM.
Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, I think.
Yep.
Sorry, they have office hours here. It's like the workforce or career force center. Okay.
Social service people have completely different acronyms that are.
We have way too many acronyms. Sorry. So yes, connecting them with that, or just jobs that are in the area or how to look for jobs. Yeah.
We hear a lot of employers looking for workers right now, so anything we can do to connect those.
Yeah, yeah. And I think they have an office here, and I don't remember what day it is, where they can work with people direct from here, not just Monticello. Yeah, any other questions?
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to have a resource. When people used to call for housing, there was about 5 different people without the organization that took those calls. Now it's easy to transfer to one person.
Absolutely.
When I look at the total number of calls that are coming in, through the first 6 months, it was around 80. But then if we include the technical assistance that Lori was providing to internal staff that were working with individuals that with housing instability, I think we were up to about 140 different households with pretty significant percentage that were either in danger of losing their housing, homeless, or doubled up. That's the more common type of homelessness we see down in this area, is those people that are staying temporarily with friends, relatives, or others without leases.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I'll take a couple business cards.
Oh,
We have,
I would too.
we have a family that they are living in our parking lot at the Y, so.
Oh, no. Yes, I brought them with.
And we do have a program through ARPA right now that has emergency services funding available, so that's another resource for you. Gina Anderson and HHS could help with that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I have more up in my
No,
office.
we get probably 2 or 3 a year.
Okay,
They come in and they ask if they can shower and if they can stay in our parking lot until they find something, so.
And we do have a referral form on our website too, if they have internet access and you wanted to do or if you just wanted to do a referral through that portal. That would be one way to, get connected, as well as through our, centralized intake as well, but.
We see quite a few actually because they come and ask that they can use a shower.
Mhm.
A lot of youth do, unfortunately. It's good to have a resource.
At my organization,
yeah, yes, please.
the resource,
That's Catholic Charities, right?
no, Central Minnesota
Central
Community
Minnesota.
Foundation, we serve Sherburne County too.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Revolving loan fund?
Yeah, as you all know, we have a revolving loan fund. We also have an entrepreneur lab on our website that people can sign up for free. And we'd like to kind of connect the two. So if somebody comes in for a revolving loan fund, they would have to take a half hour of business coaching through our lab. We think it would help both programs. Not that we've had any issues with people not paying our loans back, but we just think this is a good connection to make. So it'd be, I don't know if you have it in front of, can you bring it up, Chrissy? I just want to show the change in policy. That's the other one. And scroll down to about page 4. You'll see red language in there. There you go. So we're just adding that number 13, connecting the two programs together. So I guess I'd be looking for a motion to make that change if you guys think it'd be valuable.
Make a motion that we have the applicants do a half an hour visit on the Entrepreneur Lab. I think it's a great idea.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
That's kind of a no-brainer. Like,
Number 6, the economic development staffing update.
We today have interviews for an economic development specialist, and we have a strategic plan that hasn't been updated for 2020. The plan was to do it in 2021, but we were dealing with COVID, so it was kind of a difficult time. One of the main duties of this individual would be to update the strategic plan, and I just want feedback. I know I handed it out last meeting. Is there anything you want us to focus on as we're going forward? Do you see any gaps that we're not hitting right now? And if you don't have an answer today, just email me. It'll take some time to think about it, but is there anything that comes top of mind that you think we're not doing right now?
I think your cities do such a great job. I think that's when, just for my work on the Benton County side, and I see that isn't always a thing, like with some of the Benton County cities necessarily, and I think that I really see, our leaders here in the other cities really step up from the EDA standpoint, and I think you guys have really strong for that part of it, so I think that person would have to do a really good job of just being in contact, and maybe they do, like we do, we do here, maybe they do monthly meetings, but I think just having that person kind of coordinate and work with those local, you've got such strong candidates, there are people, leaders there that I think that's a you'd want to have a good relationship with them. That was the only thing that I really felt strongly about.
Ironically, that's one of the interview questions. How,
Yeah.
how would you build those relationships? I shouldn't say that
Yeah.
in the meeting. Anything else? Right, well, if you do think of anything, just email me. The interview started about 12:30 today, but even after that, I'd certainly like your feedback on what we can include.
You got people to apply, that's great.
We do have some extra time, so I was hoping Laura could give an update of the project we're partnering on in Elk River.
Yeah, so we applied for American Rescue Plan money for a couple areas in Elk River. They're all CenturyLink area primarily. Customers complaining a lot, didn't have service, no service, very slow speed. So we got everything approved the city of Elk River did their portion, which was about 300,000. The county participated in 900,000, and then Arvig's kicking in the remaining million, you know, just under, a little over $1 million to do the project. About 250 homes, businesses. So yeah, we're excited to get it started. Not 100% sure, you know, the timeline with equipment. We're kind of, it's not necessarily the fiber and the conduit, so we could do the construction part. It's more the electronics. So I did kick the order off. We got things ordered. They said 6 months for some of the equipment, so that's kind of where we're at. I know the timeline, we said next year it would be completed, but we were hoping, just because we got everything going so early this year in April, and since we haven't seen any border-to-border stuff come out yet, we're hoping we can get going on this project and start getting some customers connected, so.
And it's not just this project, that'll grow, we hope, to other areas as well from the infrastructure you guys are putting.
Yeah, there's other people that, now that they know about it, they're like, why am I not included? I probably get a couple of those a week, you know, from that same Elk River area, which I totally understand, but, you know, you have to start somewhere, and I think, you know, we can't hit 100% of the homes right away. And we have to go off of the served and unserved maps that the FCC puts out. And I know a lot of customers will say, well, I'm not getting, you know, 100 meg. But that's just the way the grant money works right now, and I can't do anything about the maps, which is unfortunate. But, you know, I do work with individuals, I have done this before, where if there's a road or a street that wasn't included because the carrier that serves it now says they serve it, and the customers don't get it, I have worked with those people individually and gone outside the grants to try to get them included in the project, because a lot of times it's the main line. You know, once we get the fiber going past all of those places on the county roads or the highways or whatever, it's a little easier for us to do the drops to a development or to a street or a road. Then we don't have to construct the whole way. So I think we do a good job of, you know, doing that. I think it's a little harder with a larger company where, you know, you don't get to the right person at CenturyLink or Charter necessarily to try to do that. So we try our best to do that. But yeah, I think got some more areas, obviously. Once people in Elk River saw that we were doing some stuff, you know, I've been getting emails, hey, what about me? So I think the list is growing. So I hope, and it was hard with RDOF. You know, initially when we did the project in December and submitted it, you know, a lot of that we couldn't do. And so there were some pockets of RDOF in there that now I think they've made some rulings on it that we can do some stuff. So I think if Sherburne County opens a second round, we definitely would have some good areas to apply for again. So I think that's encouraging that we can continue to keep working in this area, and that there is a provider that between us and some of the other more local ones, we're trying to cover all the areas that are unserved. So, no.
And we do have an agreement with Midco as well to serve some homes in Livonia. We're also working with a couple other townships that may go forward with projects as well. So we were 49th a couple years ago out of 87 counties, and we're moving into 20. So we've made a lot of progress over the last several years.
No, and we're putting in the fiber, so I think that's the foolproof part of it. You know, this should serve people a long time and for years, and it's the future proof. So we're getting the good stuff.
Anybody want to add anything? Otherwise, I'll give you a half hour of your day back.
Wish we could have spent a little more time on strategic planning. You know how I love that.
Yeah, I do.
For me, a strategic plan is deciding where I'm gonna have lunch while I'm eating breakfast. So.
All right, thank you, everyone. Well, I'll let you adjourn.
Meeting adjourned. We'll adjourn at 9:05.